The Guardians played almost well enough to win the opening game of the Yankees series, but they made their own share of mistakes that cost them, but other people's mistakes also didn't help them either.
Tanner Bibee of the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into, a Whining Wednesday. I guess we're going to call it Whining Wednesday episode.
The first time we've had one this year.
It kind of is. They don't do this very often, but we're going to do it today on Locked On Guardians. This is Locked On Guardians, proud part of Locked On Podcast Network. We cover your team, your Cleveland Guardians, every single day, bringing you our favorite half hour of the day. We hope it's yours as well. Appreciate you making it your first listen today, every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. And I am Justin Lada. I have been watching lots of Cleveland Guardians baseball all my entire life, and I have been providing minor league analysis on their farm system since 2007. You can find all of my analysis right now over at the News Herald, the Morning Journal, and Next Year in Cleveland on Substack, and of course, 5 days a week for our listeners with my friend and co-host Jeff Ellis.
Thank you, everyone, for having me on. Oh, wait, that's right. I've been here for 6 years now. One of the first people Locked On brought on to talk about baseball. Before that, I was a nationally recognized prospect and draft analyst at Scouting 24/7. I want to thank you again for making today's episode your first listen, wherever it is you get podcasts. And a big shout out to all of our everydayers. Numbers droop when the team doesn't win. So we appreciate all of you who are not troopers out there who are staying strong. Now let's complain about the umpires, which is, again, something I know. Yeah, a few other things first. So, man, it's hard when the other team gets 2 bonus outs.
Yeah, that's hard for any team, especially the Yankees. Yeah, we're going to get into that today. We're going to talk about our 2-month evaluation of the Guardians. We'll talk about how we feel about things for the Guardians after 2 months of baseball in 2025. We'll talk about some lineup decisions in the offense overall in this game, and a lot of it's going to center around David Fry hitting fourth and some of those decisions. But we'll start today doing something we don't try not to do too much. And honestly, I'm not going to give it too hard of a time.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about some of those bad calls in this game that didn't help the Guardians, certainly. Before we get into all of that on today's show, you should know that we are brought to you by our good friends at Monarch Money. You can take control of your finances right now with Monarch Money. If you use code Locked On MLB at monarchmoney.com, you're going to get 50% off your first year. So take advantage of that. Take advantage. Other people are giving you things. That's certainly what the Yankees did. They took advantage of things when they were given opportunities. And that's the difference in this game. The Guardians had before we get into the umpires, let's say this. The Guardians had chances to win that game in the first inning. They had chances to win that game in the 7th inning. Yep. They didn't take advantage. And the Yankees did. When they were given opportunities to capitalize on mistakes, whether it was the Guardians' mistakes, whether it was the umpires' mistakes, they capitalized. The Guardians simply did not. And that was the difference in this one. So we're not going to sit here and say it's all the umpires' fault the Guardians lost this game, because it's not. But like Jeff said, when you're given 2 extra outs and you have I think it is the best lineup in baseball. And they added Jazz Chisholm back, who, wasn't playing all that well before he got hurt, but he's still a talented player who just can't stay on the field. It's very hard. And you're playing in a stadium where, let's also be honest about this too, Jazz Chisholm's home run, bad pitch by Tanner, but it's a home run in Yankee Stadium, and it's a home run in their spring training facility, and that's it. Now, Jeff, I know you were going to say that the Volpe home run happened next, and if Tanner throws that same pitch, it's a 2-run homer anyway, so maybe that really doesn't matter itself. We could talk about those decisions from Stephen Vogt and all that kind of stuff too, but the real issue here is the first run of the game that happened was the 5th inning, where Tanner was cruising and Jazz Chisholm was struck out on strike 3.
And even before that, for those who don't know, it's like the walk. The first base runner in the game should have struck out.
Yeah, Aaron Judge. I'm sorry, that was the changeup. The changeup to Aaron Judge was ball 4, but that didn't really. Yeah, so that run shouldn't have scored. And then you had the walk to Chisholm later in the game. that was strike 3 on the outside corner, which was an even worse call by the home plate umpire. That would have ended the inning. And in the Yankees' defense, they got an extra opportunity. What did they do? J.C. Escaro worked a walk. DJ LeMahieu singled Chisholm in. And again, the Yankees took advantage when they had an opportunity. The Guardians really didn't. The Guardians ran themselves out of opportunities when they were getting them, like Gabularius. So two bad calls by the home plate umpire. And then there's the interference call, which was just absolute rubbish, to borrow a term from our friends over the pond. But
like Ivadar David.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, getting the 2 extra outs and it leading to 1 run is one thing there, and that's obnoxious. These teams actually had the same box score bingo of 9 base runners, but when you get 2 extra outs, that elevates it up. It should be a 2-2 game and extra innings, and that's what's frustrating in this, because I don't really recall any borderline calls going against the Guardians. And I listened to the Yankees broadcast tonight, and I didn't hear their complaining once about a call. They even talked about the Chisholm walk. Like, they were even like, that's a pretty egregious call. So yeah, and then with Gabby, he just doesn't run well. There's something about Cleveland shortstops where they think they have more speed. A lot of people are like, he was admiring his hit. I'm like, he had a long swing. I don't think it was as much admiring as it was a long swing, and he was slow getting out of the box, and he just doesn't run well.
It should have been a single. Grisham made an error, so yes. Gabby probably thought he had a single. Now, to be fair, would Jose have busted his butt out of the box and had a chance to make it to second? Yes, he would have. But
the interesting thing is, by Baseball Savant, Gabby's been a positive base runner on the year in spite of some gaffes of late. So he's doing some things right out there, but he's got to stop trying to expand these things. Like, because he, as I said to you off air, it's like, he's not the base runner that matters. It's a 1-1 game. The guy at third is what matters. And, that was their problem. Twice in this game, you essentially had a guy at third base. And once, Gabby ran into the second out, but you had a guy at third base with 1 out, and both times they didn't get him there. Base running issue. And then, some strikeouts. We'll talk about that more in segment 2. But yeah, it's like, when a game is this tight against 2 teams that faced in the ALCS a year ago, an umpire giving the other team 2 more outs is huge. I'm sorry. And it's like, we don't complain about umpires on this show. We don't. Like, I can't recall the last time we did. But when it is this clear, and so much so that a very Homerish Yankees broadcast duo is even being like, that's it was bad. And maybe we'll see the score tomorrow, and it's not as bad as I expect. That tends to be the case, I feel like. But it impacted the game. There's no other way around it. The umpires impacted the game.
Now, those 2 pitches, I will say this, like, and to sit here and say we're not completely blaming the umpires, those 2 pitches, the ones that was a miss to Judge and the one that was a miss to Chisholm that should have been, helped him get a strikeout, and the one should have ended the inning, those may have been the only 2 calls behind the plate that didn't go great for, I think it was Manny. I forgot the umpire's name. Doesn't matter. I'll remember for the next time. Those might have been the only 2 calls he blew behind the plate. I don't really have anything that sticks out in my mind that says he did worse than that. But and we can't sit here and say, well, the umpires got to get right 100% of the time, because they're human. They're not going to. You and I don't get things right 100% of the time. Nobody does. So I'm not saying like they got to get right every time, but we also have technology coming that's going to help that. And you can't have, and everyone's like, oh, you love the human element. I like the human element too, but I also want the players to decide how the game turns out. I don't want the umpires to decide how the game turns out either. And he might have had a great night and got, 90% of his calls right, but those calls cost the Guardians extra outs and gave the Yankees an extra run. And that's huge in a game like this. To be fair, the Guardians, they should have scored more runs. You can't win in Yankee Stadium scoring 2 runs. We'll talk about the Guardians offense as far as that's concerned in the next segment on today's Locked On Guardians. I've got birthdays coming up this summer to buy for, an anniversary. I got all kinds of things that I got to pay for right now. And I'm not wondering where all my money went. I know where it's going, but it's very easy to lose track of all the things you're spending on: gifts, online shopping, entertainment, dining out. It's summer. You want to go to the ball game, all those things. Monarch Money can help you. It can help me. It's your personal CFO. It gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. It's going to allow you and I to track all of our accounts, investments, and spending in one place so we don't have to just be kind of surviving. We can thrive and we have an opportunity to build our wealth and build towards our goals. Maybe you want to go on vacation this summer. You got to save some money. Maybe you got some repairs you want to do around the house. You got to put money away for that. If those are goals that you have, use Monarch Money, and you can do it by yourself. You can track it with a partner. You could stay on the same page, all within one app. It is one app to rule them all. I know I need that because I look at a lot of apps for my financial standings for everything. So take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off your very first year. Great to have David Fry back in the lineup. Given the fact that there was no perfect option to replace Lane Thomas on the roster because he's right-handed. You don't have a minor league right-handed outfielder that you trust. Certainly not Jonathan Rodriguez, as it were. You weren't going to make that move for Kafis or certainly not DeLauder just yet. And again, you're losing a right-handed hitter in the outfield. So in that case, there was no perfect option to bring back. So David Fry made a lot of sense. The only issue with that is David Fry had very little volume in his rehab assignments. He had one home run. Throwing him into the cleanup spot in his very first start back in the majors, coming off a very limited rehab, let's say, probably a bit much to ask. But again, just like we didn't blame the umpire, we're not blaming the umpires for the entire loss because the Guardians made their own share of mistakes, which we'll talk about again here. This is one of those things where I'm like, did we have to do this? Like, could we have made a better decision here retroactively? And I'm not sitting here saying, Stephen, I could do better than Stephen Vogt rolling out a lineup. And we often overinflate what the meaning of lineup construction is. Because if the truth is, Jeff, I don't really know who I would have hit cleanup in this game. You could have hit Santana fourth. You're on mute, so if you're trying to refute my point, then I guess you're just agreeing with me. But
no, I wasn't. I was just saying, yeah. I was just shaking my head. I wasn't saying a word. I was putting the finishing touches on a few data points, but that I want to discuss. But you could have hit Santana fourth. Yeah, you could have hit Santana fourth, and you could have hit Fry fifth. I don't know that dropping him in the order one spot really makes a huge difference. But I think the real answer here is there's really no perfect answer in this statement because fourth or fifth, I don't know if there's a big difference there. Honestly, I would like
the Guardians six, are just
Santana 4
Fry?
And yes, 6 while he's getting used to it. Santana 4 and Schneemann 5. Wilson is terrible. There's no reason to have him out there. Schneemann's splits are not that bad. Like, listen. I love platoons. I love the movie Platoon. I love baseball platoons. If you got to I love platooning in one of the games I play where you have to fill your platoons. But this is the dumbest platoon they have. Will Wilson is not good. Like, full stop. Defensively, offensively, Will Wilson is not good. Just let Daniel Schneemann play. He's not the answer either, but he's better. So you can get back on track. Sorry.
Would you rather have, let me ask you this. Would you rather have, let's say, Nolan Jones? Yeah, that's okay. That's a fair answer. Actually, that's a fair answer to my statement. Would you rather have Nolan Jones in center, John Kenzie Noel in right, and then either Martinez or Schneemann at second? To avoid Will Wilson.
No. Not with the way Noel is swinging. Not with the way Noel has been swinging since August of last year.
So your choice essentially here is if you can't play Schneemann at second on a given day, would you rather have Noel?
You have to. Let him play every day.
Who do you want to see play less? Will Wilson or John Kenzie Noel? If you had to pick between the two, who do you want to see less?
Noel. Because right now he's just not doing anything at all. At least Wilson's walking every game. He's getting about a walk a game. Noel's got a sub 400 OPS. Wilson, as much as we complain, is not there. I mean, Noel can't do anything right now.
That's okay. So this is where we're going to disagree. And I'm going to use one of your own points against you here. And I think you're going to change your mind. You and I have both always complained about Brian, like a guy like Brian Rocchio, right? There are no standout tools in his game. He is a 45 or a 50 across the board, maybe worse in some cases.
It doesn't matter if every other tool is a 20.
Exactly. Will Wilson has zero tools that are playable to major league level. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. John Kenzie Noel has two. He has two. He's got a great throwing arm. He's got power. And I understand everything else might be at 20 at this point. But if you're asking me, this is very trivial because these are the guys that are like your 25th or 26th man on the roster. But you're picking between the two because we're deciding who do you want to roll with if you have to make this terrible decision of who has to get more
And if I could
bats.
throw 70 miles an hour faster than I can throw right now, I'd have the best velocity in baseball. Who cares how much power Noel has? He can't make contact. He can't. He has had a sub 500 OPS since September of last year. That's across the postseason. I mean, you can't play him. Go get Rodriguez. Heck,
you can't play Will Wilson either.
I know, but I'm saying if this is our debate, then the answer is none of them because they don't work. Neither work. Like full stop. Wilson and Noel are not answers.
So the Guardians should just play with 8 men in the lineup, basically.
I mean, they already are when you play either of those guys.
True, that's true.
They already are.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue tonight. Like again, you can't score 2 runs in Yankee Stadium and expect to win. So for all the boo-hooing we did in the first segment about the extra outs for the Yankees, they limited the Yankees to 3 runs. It should have been 2 runs. But guess what? The Guardians got to score a 3rd run to win that game. And honestly, 3 runs in Yankee Stadium against that lineup doesn't win a game very often either. So it's great that Tanner had the best start of his season again. I was looking to this might be a conversation for another day. But if you take out, I know we're saying if you just said if I threw 70 miles an hour harder, I'd be the best in baseball. If you look at 4 starts Tanner's had this year, that's where all the damage has come from. He was really good in this game. This is as good as he's looked all season. He had the no-hitter going for a little bit there, and I avoided the urge to text you about
the Yankees happening. Did not avoid the urge to mention it every 5 seconds. I'll tell you that.
I'm not shocked. Yeah, I'm not shocked at all. But like I love the adjustments he's made to his delivery. He's tilting back a little bit more. It's giving him extra velocity. He's landing his breaking stuff for strikes. He's so good. The umpires are missing his strikes. That's how good Tanner's been. I thought he was just fantastic in this game, and he deserved to win because not only did he get screwed on the calls, he gave up the home run to Volpe, was 100% on him, and he knows that. But Will Wilson made the error later. He got very lucky that they didn't score a run on that. That's what I'm saying. Will Wilson gives you absolutely nothing. The problem is the whole thing I'm talking about this time is that David Fry, there's really no ideal place to put him in the lineup except for lower, but you don't have an ideal place because there's a lot of guys moving around. I still want to see Carlos Santana hitting at the top of the order. I still think that the heater he's been on
opposed to him.
Yeah, they're never going to take Quan off the leadoff spot. And Santana just does not comfortable in the 2 spot. But I would love to go Quan, Jose, Santana, but then you've got the issue again of Manzardo 4 or Fry 4. Imperfect because Fry, you don't want to rely on him there. And 2, Manzardo is just absolutely scuffling. That's the thing that's hurting the offense the most. We'll talk about this in the next segment where things have 2 months. But to me, the biggest issue is that Kyle Manzardo had a great April and he has just disappeared since.
It's because he's swinging out of his shoes every at bat. He looks like a little kid out there at points. Like it's a little. He's not the controlled hitter he was. I just want to make one more comment. Just a personal thing that's been annoying me this year is why don't they have someone up when you're entering the 7th inning? Like just have someone up because they keep doing this where like Vogt said that he had no thought of pulling Tanner, and that's fine. I wouldn't have pulled Tanner either, but have someone up. Like that he missed a little bit on that Jazz pitch as well. Like he was not looking as sharp, and he got himself out of the inning, but there's been a lot of games this year where they've just left a starter in slightly too long because it gets away from him. This is not the first time it's happened. It's not even the 5th time it's happened. This has happened way too often. And we talk about adjustments. Vogt needs to start making an adjustment there.
Yeah, I think they could have benefited from having somebody ready. So maybe he doesn't go back out and face Volpe at that point because, again, things can get out of hand in Yankee Stadium very quickly.
Was always good about that. It would be like, okay, you made one mistake. We got someone else up and ready to go. Especially
when you're crossing that 100 pitch threshold. Yeah. I know some purists and throwback fans will decry that, but the data says and he also gave that home run to Chisholm and that pitch was where it was. So, all right, the Guardians have played 2 months of baseball, a little bit more than that. Where do things sit after 2 months? Have our expectations changed? Have our predictions changed? We'll talk about that next on today's Locked On Guardians.
I have an old house. This house is one of the oldest in my neighborhood. It was built in the 1950s. I've got an HVAC right over there that 3 times a year I got to have someone come out and look at it because I got young children and it goes down. I wish I was handier so I could use Supply House. When I look online, it has great reviews. It is a great company. So get the supplies and sites you need from the site made for skilled traders, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. The easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from the top 400 brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? They've got you covered there with expert support and industry-leading service, so you always talk to a real person, a rarity these days. And for trade pros looking for the extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
Once again, thank you all for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day wherever you get podcasts. We'd appreciate if you told a friend about us. We appreciate you giving us any sort of review on Apple Podcasts as well. We had a recent one that was really good. Even referenced the best half hour of their day. We appreciate that for sure.
Justin, can I interrupt you?
As always.
I know people love this. Can I ask you, what do you think is the third best position on this team by weighted runs created plus in all of baseball? Third most productive position for the Guardians.
For Cleveland?
Yes.
Well, third base is number 1. Left field's number 2. Yep. Got to go first base.
Nope. They are 13th at third base. That's their 4th best position. It's second base. They are 10th in baseball in production from second base.
Arias and Schneemann. Yeah.
Yep. They are 99th there. Do you know what position they are worst in baseball in terms of WAR?
It's got to be shortstop or right field.
It's center field. Center field is their worst position by WAR. They are 30th in baseball. Right field, they are 30th in runs created plus. It's an interesting thing to look at. I totally expected, if you're curious, 3 worst positions in terms of offense are center field, right field, and shortstop. And in terms of WAR, the 3 worst are center field, right field, and shortstop. So both offensively and defensively, those 3 positions have set this team back, whereas first base, third base, left field, and second base have carried them forward. DH, they're middle of the pack.
How did we get here? Because, again, we had this conversation, I don't know, our everydayers remember that we talked about this like a few weeks ago. We talked about how the Guardians have failed at the middle infield spot because they had all these prospects they collected at the middle infield, and none of them have ever panned out in terms of being a stalwart. Like, there's been nobody who stepped up and became the everyday guy, and not even like a star. Like, I'm not sitting here saying like
just a
Francisco
regular
Lindor.
Old guy, like even Ahmed Rosario, frankly, anymore. But the funny thing is, if you look at it the other way too, whenever I talk about the draft, we talk about what this team approaches, what they look at. It's look for a high K rate, and then more importantly, look for low walk rates. Their starting pitching, worst walk per 9 in all of baseball. They are 30th in baseball in walks per 9, 18th in Ks per 9, 23rd in FIP, 25th in WAR. Bullpen, for all of our complaints, 3rd best. 6th in FIP, 7th in WAR, 4th best in walk, 8th best, 4th best in K, 8th best in walk, and the 3rd worst BABIP. They are being 327. So that bullpen is the 6th best in baseball or 7th best, and they've had some of the worst luck. Whereas the starting pitching has been still near the bottom so it's interesting because they go for pitchers who don't walk guys. And what is their starting pitching doing? Walking everyone. They collect middle infielders for days, and yet they have none. Yeah, I give up. I'm just going to, good night.
Yeah. Developmentally, so confusing. I mean, Andres Jimenez was good for a year and then was okay in 2023, and then after that it was just the bottom completely fell out. Like he had a good run at the end of 2023 to kind of stabilize things, and then the bottom fell out on him. And don't go look at his stats in Toronto because I feel bad for the guy.
I mean, Toronto fans are writing pieces about why Ernie Clement should keep the position when Jimenez comes back right now, to give you an idea of where that
I would kill for Ernie Clement to replace Will Wilson right now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I was never a Clement guy, but I was 100% wrong on Clement. He's been a lot more useful than I ever thought he'd be. He's hit the ball harder than I ever thought he would. Not to say he's a power hitter, but I thought he was 20 power. Yeah, I would kill for Clement right now. It's I know they miss. We talked about Juan Brito so much and what he could bring, but like at the same time, I'm just worried about his butchery defense out there. Like watching Will Wilson make an error, I was looking at outs above average. And I'll say again, Daniel Schneeman's positive. He's a positive defender at second base. I'm going to keep stumping for Schneeman because amongst what they have, he is the only option. Because
he is.
I'm going to say
there's nobody else. There's nobody else to put it short. Yeah, no. I mean, Gabby's got to play short because you just don't have other options right now.
Yeah,
at shortstop. And
so his collapse offensively coincided with moving to short. Interestingly enough.
It did, yeah. For all the times that we in the past we were like, oh, he doesn't want to move around positions. He wants to play shortstop, and they finally had to put him there. And guess what? Now the offense is. And to be fair, the offense was unsustainable where he was. Yeah, like it was 100%. Solid, but there were definitely some regression coming for that anyway. He just can't make outs on the bases like he keeps doing too. Like the defense hasn't struggled. Like that's the good thing. You're getting the defense you need at shortstop from him. But the offense, he's always going to be a streaky hitter anyway. But yeah, right now it's not in a good direction. Okay, so the Guardians have now played, we'll say, 59 games.
They're at like 61, I thought.
No, today was game number 50. It was game number 59.
I've got game 60 today.
According to Baseball Reference, this should have been game 59.
My 3 stars document has 60 games in it, unless I miscounted somewhere. So I guess I'll have to go figure that out.
They're 32 and 27. Okay. That's 9. So yeah, I think you've got an extra game in there somewhere. Hopefully, in that extra game, the Guardians won it. Is what I would say. Yeah, they're 32 and 27, so that is 59 games. After 59 games, Jeff, I don't know. After 59 games, though, have your expectations changed? Has your preseason expectation changed? What has changed your mind after 59 games? Anything?
No, I mean I picked them to get a wild card and not win the division, be up and down team with some holes. I thought some young guys would hopefully step up. We haven't seen it yet. I said that they should sign Ha-Seong Kim because I didn't believe in their infield depth. So that's stood up. I think Nolan Jones has been someone that I got wrong so far. I expected him to be better.
Same.
I liked
Lane Thomas. I said Lane Thomas was going to be an all-star. And now your only all-star looks like it's going to be Jose Ramirez.
I mean, I think Clase is going to get his way back there with the way he's pitched. And with him being the name that he is.
That's true. Because pitchers are elected by their peers. Yeah, not the fans. So you're right.
Kwan's got to get out of the, he's been scuffling. He's been it's interesting too. Like they're actually higher in runs created plus than they are in WAR for left field, which is not what I expected with as good as his defense is. But I think, I look at the team, I thought they'd have an issue at least one infield spot they have. Right field's been more disappointing than I expected. Center field is more disappointing than I expected because I thought Lane Thomas would be at least average, and instead he's just been hurt. Mm-hmm. Bullpen within the range of expectation. Starting pitching, though, is probably my biggest disappointment. Because starting pitching, they were really bad a year ago, and they're showing signs of life. But if we're just talking about the first 2 months, I would say starting pitching is my biggest disappointment. I thought it would be better. Tanner and Gavin, I both thought would be good. And they have shown signs of it of late, but it was a slow process to get there. Ortiz has been very inconsistent. I was texting you today about Saros, the number 1 stuff plus pitch amongst the Guardian starting pitching belongs to Logan Allen and his sweeper. That has the highest stuff plus grade of any pitch that any of the starters have.
Great. I love that.
Yeah. Isn't that what, the Clase is the highest pitch overall, but it's the starting pitching to me is the one area that's really kind of disappointed. Logan Allen has probably been the pleasant surprise because I thought he would be rocked out of here sooner rather than later. I didn't believe in with the metrics there, but yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah, I don't think I've changed a whole lot either. I also didn't pick him to win the division. I picked the Twins, so I got that wrong. At least as of this moment, the Tigers are clear favorites. I definitely thought right field was going to be better too. I agree. I thought we were going to see more from Nolan Jones. I didn't really know what to expect from Noel, but I also thought in a part-time role would be good for him. Okay. Game 34, the Guardians. I have to go back and look at that. But yeah, I for sure thought
Toronto.
I thought the outfield would be much better than they were. I agree. I thought Tanner and Gavin would be more consistent out of the gate. They were not. But they have been better. They've shown higher ceilings recently. I'm still pretty optimistic about the rotation. I think Tanner has really fixed some things. I think Gavin is still kind of on the path to fixing things. We've seen the flashes. Ortiz, we've seen flashes too. So, and you're getting Shane Bieber back. That's a great top 4. I still feel really good about the rotation. I know you said that a couple weeks ago too. I still do too. The bullpen, I feel a little less good about, just because we've seen some warts, but it's also a good
bad
bullpen.
Luck.
It's bad luck. But I don't know if this team can survive a bullpen that doesn't get lucky as well, or just gets unlucky, because they don't have the offense to support it, and the rotation still has not found stable footing. It's kind of like on one foot.
Good way to
right
phrase
now.
it.
Yeah. So if the rotation was stable on 2 feet, I wouldn't worry about the bullpen as much. But yeah, they have to get more out of other positions. And the thing that sucks is that the options they could have had in the minor leagues to give them reinforcements, like, Lane Thomas is hurt, talked about that, but Brito and Bazana going down really hurts them right now. DeLauder going down in spring training hurts them. At the very least, sets him back until the end of the month, depending on how long they want to work on that buildup. But also, Nolan Jones the last few weeks hasn't been the problem either. So you just need a little bit more from everybody, and that's a lot to ask for some of these guys. Some of these guys they're just not going to get more from, including catcher. Jeff, where in the heck are we going at the catching position in the future? I know where we're going with it tomorrow, because we're going to talk about the Guardians' future at catching. Is Bo Naylor doing enough to remain the starter for the Guardians in 2026?
14th
Who's
best
behind
WAR.
him?
They are the upper crust of baseball, upper half in terms of WAR at catcher. 23rd in weighted runs created plus. They're not even bottom 5 in terms of the offense there.
Yep. So we'll talk about the future of catching for the Guardians on tomorrow's show, along with Yankees Guardians Game 2. That's Luis Ortiz and Clark Schmidt, who they've had better success against. But the Guardians, they have to go out tomorrow, and they have to go out and they have to make less mistakes. They have to hope the umpires are on their best behavior, and they have to score more than 3 runs.
And we hope you enjoyed the show today. Comment about your favorite part. Remember to hit that thumbs up. Hey, leave multiple comments. Tell a friend. Check it out every day. Thank you all. And go Guardians, go.